Okay, so this is my qualitative data analysis. This is Brittany Salley, and this is for our ERE 220 class. So the classmates that I chose to use their data, their interview transcriptions for this assignment, were Anakina Evaz Garrison. Any information pertaining to her will be participant number 1. Vanessa Chavez, participant number 2. Cheryl Clyburn, participant number 3. Vanessa Contreras, participant number 4. Morgan Malone, participant number 5. And I use my own interview transcription as participant number 6. So the demographics of the participants: for participant number 1, their occupation is a linguist trainer for the Department of Defense. They are female, they were 42 years old, and they've had 7 years experience. Participant number 2, their occupation is a 2nd grade teacher. Their gender is female. They're over the age of 50, and they've had 29 years of experience. Participant number 3, their occupation is a teacher. Their gender is female. Their age somewhere between 40 and 49, and they've had 22 years of experience. Participant number 4, their occupation is an elementary PE teacher. They are male. Their age is somewhere between 30 and 49, and their experience, they have 9 years of experience. Participant number 5, their occupation is an engineer. Their gender is male. Their age is under 30, and their experience is 5 months. And participant 6, their occupation is a 3rd grade teacher. Their gender is female. Their age 42, and their experience is 18 years. If there is something in the age bracket that does not have a defined age, it is because it was not given. And so I gave whatever the interviewer and my classmate put in for that participant. So the focus questions I chose were questions 2 and 3. Question number 2 is, what is our purpose in life, and how do you describe your purpose in life? Question number 3 was, instead of being told by others what your purpose in life is, have you awakened to your purpose by yourself? And then the examples that were given is that teachers frequently hear that they prepare future generations, thus their purpose in life may be driven by work and these messages. As another example, new moms frequently hear that motherhood and feeling it all, good or bad, should give them life purpose. In other words, was awakening to your sense of purpose internally driven? And interviewers asked participants to share specific experiences and details. So getting to the data, the summary of the results for question number 2, I decided to use in vivo coding and use exact words or phrases that came from the interview transcriptions. So I saw terms such as making an impact, creating relationships with students or with people, serving others, helping others, being compassionate, having compassion, being kind, being loving, being giving, being a leader, being a good role model, leading by example, and then Christian life, following or follow Jesus, having vision. So from those things you can see I've kept the bullet points separate, so you can see the category that I would place them in. So for making an impact and creating relationships, I believe a category would be impact, because most of the interviewees, the participants that shared these things, talked about some impact that they would like to have, or an impact that they have had on students or colleagues in some way, shape, or form, even family. The second category you see is character. I thought that serving others, helping others, having compassion or being compassionate, being kind, loving, and giving, those were all aspects of someone's character. And how we should have those certain character traits in order to affect others. Another I saw was leadership, another category. And you can see there, be a good leader, be a good role model, or be a leader, be a good role model, and lead by example, having those leadership qualities in order to lead others in the right direction. And then faith, there were a couple of participants who talked about their faith. And so I wanted to include that aspect. So from those codes and those categories, some themes that came about is positivity, having a positive outlook on things and how that affects others, and then being an example to others and in various ways. Being an example we can see in leadership, whether that is inside of a classroom or at a job. It could also be faith-based. You can be an example at your church or in other areas of what you believe and how you choose to live your life. As teachers, we are always trying to teach our students how to have good character, and so that is an example, being an example to others, and as well as being positive, and then having an impact, making an impact, and having those relationships. If you're showing others how to do those things and what comes out of it, that's being an example. So some quotes that I found to back this up from participant 1. And if you don't have that sense of belonging to a greater power, you could pretty much lose that clarity and that vision. They were talking about faith and how you have to have some sense of what you're wanting to do and where you're wanting to go. And so you have to realize that you belong to a greater power and how that brings a sense of purpose to one's life. From participant 2, to be a leader and to live and to be a good role model and have other people see you being that. They were talking about how one should be showing their leadership qualities and how they should be showing others how to live their life, and how that has a positive impact. Participant 5, the people that I love and are cared for. I felt that showed an aspect of positivity. And if I go back, positivity and also being an example. Sorry. And the last one from participant 6, I think making an impact in teaching would be not just obviously how a student does academically, but socially and emotionally. So creating relationships with students and with others in a positive way is what helps. This participant really talked about how creating relationships with others in different settings had an impact and had an effect in their lives. So for question 3, the summary of the results, the codes: wanting kids to succeed, fulfilling, commitment, motivated myself, natural progression, calling, personal drive, determined, people telling me I'm good at it. Question 3, if we go back, I know I might not need to go back, but question 3 is all about that. Were you awakened to your purpose by yourself, or did it come from others? So if we go back to question 3, I wanted to put in for success. Many people talked about success and how that has awakened them to their purpose. And so when they're wanting students to succeed, that's awakening them to what their purpose is. When they see someone succeed, they feel that it's very fulfilling, and their commitment to one's success they have seen has made a difference, and a difference in students and colleagues. And then motivation is another category that I chose, because there were many things that motivated people. So some of them said that having motivation and internal, like from myself, I've motivated myself to continue on in something. I've naturally progressed, so there's a natural progression of things in motivating me to do what I do. Having a calling, that feeling that I'm called to do this, has been very motivating. Having a personal drive or being determined and then having some outside factors from other people as well, like people telling me that I'm good at it, people saying that they're good at something and that they should continue on to do something. So the themes that I saw were that there are internal and external factors for success and motivation when it comes to people awakening to their purpose. So some quotes for question 3. It makes me very happy that I became a teacher, because you don't always know if you're doing the right thing in the moment, but when you see a former student 22 years later and they're very successful and they're living in San Francisco and they're making a 6-figure and they're doing something that they had no idea they would be able to do, and they're working with math. I mean, he's working with math and numbers, and it's just fantastic. I really felt that that was showing the success and how people view success, that this teacher viewed success based on her student 22 years later, and how that student felt very successful, even though they may not have been successful with numbers in school, that they're successful now. And that was participant 3, and from participant 4, it's kind of hard to say that there was an awakening. I feel it was a natural progression from working with kids and youth from a young age. And then I worked for a nonprofit where I worked with youth, and then I became a teacher. I think that there was a natural progression, and it was sort of, I wouldn't say a calling, but it just sort of happened on its own. And so they say it wasn't a calling. There were some other factors that said it was a calling, but this person particularly, that it just happened naturally. It wasn't anything that was forced. It didn't necessarily come from anyone, but just through their work and what they did on a regular basis. They felt that they stepped into what they're doing now because it happened naturally. Thank you so much for watching my presentation,